Hey, greetings, y'all. Radically for Jesus here. I decided I enjoy looking at other people's planner videos so much. I really wanted to do a video of the ones that I keep. I keep a couple. I keep a homeschool planner and I keep a homemaking binder or planner. I'm going to go over my homeschool one here today because I recently just redid it and simplified it greatly. It's really not an exciting thing, but maybe you guys can find some inspiration from it. First, I use the ARC system. It's from Staples, and it uses these discs to bind everything, and it lets the cover open and flip behind and lay flat just like a spiral would. Now, I will admit it is an expensive system to use. You don't have to have the covers, there's a way around that, but if you have the cover, it's very nice. I got my cover free from a gift from somebody, so that worked out. The discs are, I don't know, about $2.50, $3 a package to get new discs for them, and I have found that useful for other homeschool things too, because I can bind things that I may have used, like maybe workbooks or notebooks that I printed out, and bind them with these discs, and they don't always necessarily need a cover, so I can just maybe use a laminated cover or something simple, and it's a good way to make homeschool notebooks and PDFs of workbooks, things I've printed, make them a lot more usable and lie flat. And then when I'm done, and when the kids completed it, I can just pull the discs off and reuse them. The only way I'm able to do any of this and do it even remotely cheaply is I bought the hole punch, because it does have a very specialized, I don't know if you can see, specialized hole system, and it is very unusual. You have to have the hole punch to be able to do anything yourself. There is no way I would use this system if I had to buy every form, every piece of paper, everything for it, because it would get so expensive. But if you just invest in this one thing and then buy the little discs as you need them, it's not too bad. The hole punch I think was about $38, $40 or so on Amazon. Watch for sales because the price fluctuates a good bit. Now, my planner itself, this is the first, when you open it up, and maybe you can see a little better now that it's on white. It's got an unusual shape. They just pop in and out, and then you just kind of snap them back into place, and they snap around the little disc. There's kind of a little spot here behind, so that helps keep them out, and they will hold in there pretty good. And you see I'm lifting it just by a page protector, really. So, first, in here, now enough about that system. In here, I do keep my stickers, my teacher stickers and all that. Some of them I have to especially track, like my All About Reading and All About Spelling stickers, because they're not really the cheapest. And I don't want to lose them because they're very specific for our little progress tracking. So I kind of have to guard those, especially from my daughter. She likes stickers. The first page. Now, I need to give some disclaimers here. I do keep an attendance, sort of, not very well, but I'm keeping one. And as you can see, it is not very well filled out. And I have a good reason for that. I haven't filled it out very well because my dad got sick and he passed away this year, as some of you may know. And when back in here, he started getting ill, I kind of started slacking off more and more. And then on April 1st, when he passed away, from there, for those 3 months, I did not fill this thing out. I just did not care. Now, we did do school, so please don't judge me and think that I'm not schooling my kids. I am, I promise. Mostly in May and June, even though I didn't track it, we were still doing lots and lots of school. And then here in July, I decided to go ahead and pick it back up because we had our assessment there near the end of June, and we're kind of starting our new school year of sort. Even though we school year round, I kind of view the summer as the start. So I restarted tracking in July. I don't have to track in Ohio. Ohio doesn't require that. I just do it because, I don't know, I find satisfaction in keeping track and knowing that I have a certain amount of days and half days in. And usually when I track our hours, I find we are blowing away the hours that are required of me. I have dyslexic kids, and we have to school for longer than a lot of homeschoolers do. Next page is something I made this week, and while it looks beautiful and perfect, it is very hard to keep to. However, I am trying. I know a lot of days it's going to bleed like it's been murdered, but the only way I feel like that we get any kind of real goals done is by having goals to shoot for. Even if I don't make the exact times, at least I have that time to shoot for. Hey kids, come on, we got to start reading by such and such time, and so on. That really helps me. I don't like living that rigid with the time, but it is what it is. It helps us move. We do not get nearly as much done if I don't have some kind of schedule. So I revamped again recently and put this down. Now, I do not print this every week, and nor will I. I put this in dry erase or page protector, so I can use a dry erase marker on it and just mark out things if I take a notion to, or reference it as I need it. This was obviously the week I printed it out, but I don't really care. It's just for a general weekly schedule. Like I schedule in my weekly errands for going out to the grocery store and stuff like that. Even though I don't even do them weekly anymore, I do it every 2 weeks to save money and doing a tighter meal plan and all that. But I still went ahead and put that in there because I thought, you know, that's extra time I can clean on the off week or whatever. But this is my goal. So don't think that we keep this up perfectly. We don't. We miss stuff. But that's the goal and the hope. And I can tell you, having dyslexic kids, it really makes lessons go longer and slows you down and makes just every little thing takes longer than you think. I would like to pad it more, but there's only so many hours in the day, and I can only work the babies so long. But they are doing very good. That is an old handwritten one that I tried, just from a free printable from the Scattered Squirrel. I like a lot of the printables because they're simple. There was some quick review tasks that I had wanted to remember to go over with the kids before. That one's actually kind of old. Questions to ask about reading, because Mom is not very creative and she sometimes just can't think of things to ask, so I have that there. That was an old cover page I had made for my planner, and I thought it was cute. It was just from various free clip arts online. That is our school name. We gave ourselves a name a few years ago. It doesn't necessarily need that, but sometimes on forms you need to fill out and throw a name in there, and that can be useful. This is one of the dividers from ARC. They're very heavy, which I kind of like that. The next section is my homeschool checklist section. That's the daily thing I'm actually truly writing on. I clipped the old ones so I can flip automatically to what I want. And I'm going to turn this around here. See, flips nice and flat. I don't know how this is going to go when I flip my phone, but let's try it. This is what it looks like. And this is a real week. I bought the form off of Etsy. I did not make the form. I probably could have, but I was just too lazy. But it was worth a couple bucks to do. If I can find it again, I'll link on the video for y'all. But the form, I like it's bright and colorful. And I can fill in my plan, and then as I go through the week, I can check the things off as we do it. And I have been using these friction dry erase a lot, or not dry erase, erasable ink pens. They're not perfect because they erase basically by the friction of heat. If you put this in a hot car, all your writing's probably going to erase. You could put it in the freezer to get it back, but it's tricky. So I would not use these in something important like a journal that means a lot to you for keepsake. But for something like this, it's very useful. That way you can erase and change it as you need to. Of course, pencil would be fine if you want to. I keep the friction ones around for math because the kids like the bright contrast to work on math workbooks, but obviously being erasable is pretty important. This here, our schedule is just a real week. Some things we got to, some things we didn't, some things I've had to erase and adjust, and as you can see, we lost Monday completely because we had a stomach bug that we've been fighting in our house, so we didn't really get much done. Wednesday, I felt like we had a few things checked, but it just felt like a light day because we had the internet guy here working, so that kind of messed up my schedule a bit, but we got some stuff in. Today we actually got a lot in. It felt like the time was quality. But I do keep this, and I don't have to. Again, Ohio doesn't require it. I just keep it for my own sanity and peace of mind, and I can go back and see where we were at a given time in the year. What I also do is sometimes I'll just write on the back of it notes of where I think the kids are, or maybe progress things that I think they need to work on. I'm going to try to turn this. Hopefully it's not made y'all dizzy. Cameras for video are not my forte. I do print these. Obviously printing in color can use a lot of ink. One sheet I have for about printing is I use a continuous ink system. The thing that made me think to say that is you can see that one did not print very good. That was because I had to clean my ink heads on the printer. Most of them look good though. But the continuous ink system, I totally recommend you check that out if you haven't got one. Saves a lot of money. That was just an old blank schedule I left in there in case I needed to change. A book list, I do find that useful. I just restarted ours, so you don't see much on it. But right now, like we're doing a read aloud from Farmer Boy. That's something I'm reading, but I'm still tracking it. I track the audio books, the books I read, and then the books they read directly themselves. My little girl, she's just now learning to read. She reads the 3-letter words and is still sounding things out in All About Reading 1, but she's getting there. Daniel, he has come such a long way. Reading was such a challenge at first for me to teach, because at first, with my first one, I did not know we had dyslexia going on, but I had to learn so much about how to teach him differently so he could do it. And if you could see where things were versus where they are now, it's shocking. I highly recommend keep videos of your kids as you teach them and as they read. Just periodically, if you see them reading along, pick up your phone, take a video, because those videos become treasures when in 6-8 months you look back at those and you're like, wow, we really progressed a lot more than I thought. Because there's down days. As a homeschooler, you need that. You need to see that you're making progress, because it's usually a lot more than you think it is. I always keep our homeschool letter here. I blocked it out obviously because there's lots of personal information on it. Last year's was from Dublin. We will have a different one this year because we moved last fall. But in general, Ohio, we have to notify our superintendent, and that letter that we get back saying we're excused from compulsory attendance is super important, so I always keep that out rather than filing it, because I'm always afraid somebody's going to come knocking on the door wanting to know why my kids aren't in school or something like that, so I want that letter handy. Here is just a couple little odd things I have in the back. This one on literary devices, and this list is on just some general points of speech, working out conversation and speech expression. My son has some speech expression issues as well as the dyslexia, so occasionally we have to talk and work on expression. The whole literary device thing, do you really want to know why that's there? That's there because Mom can't remember what all these things are. This was not my thing. I was kind of more of a math girl. I like reading. I absolutely love reading, but like poetry and the finer points of grammar, just not something I love. I got through and I managed, but I did not remember what half of that stuff was called. Just didn't care. To be honest, I still really don't. But we're working on that. But I put that list in there because I can't remember. I know that's terrible. I'm so failing at homeschooling. And anyway, I had a little thing. There's a floss words worksheet that I intended to work on with my kiddos. But for the most part, I don't keep a very thick, heavy homeschool binder. I used to, because there are some really awesome free printables out there, and you can track so many things. But the point of it, to me, is to save me time, but yet have a balance of giving me information that when I look back in a year, I know what we were doing. I need to know that, and that's important. But I don't want to spend so much time on this that it takes up all my time, if that makes sense. So there is my homeschool binder. It's fairly simple. It is nowhere near as extensive as probably most of them are. And I know I do have the unusual system with the binder, but I really, really love it. To me, it's worth every penny. For a long time I wanted that and could not afford to buy it, so I totally get it if most people find that way too expensive, but in general I think it was worth investing in. All in all, I highly recommend you keep your homeschool binder, even if it's just to cover and track a few basic things and plan your day, because it really does help if you have a plan in place for your day. Now, I do keep a homemaking binder, and I will try to cover that in another video. So, you all take care and have a very blessed day.